Thank you, Jacqueline, for a very uh, generous introduction to me as a professional. I would wish my boss thinks the same. I'm good at the marketing principle. So thanks for that, and thanks Sharad also for building this community of
Well
bringing
said.
us together.
Yes, sir.
It's really a pleasure to be amongst some of the budding professionals and students who wish to listen to me. So yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're
Uh,
welcome.
right. Uh, so good to know that all of you are here. So I mean, can we keep it more interactive, or I mean, I generally prefer if we have participation along, because I'm not a very good monologue speaker, so to say, because it then will be a rant of 30-40 minutes. I just want if we can be a little more interactive. Uh, so just asking everybody in the forum that what do you think a brand is, and as per you, what is a brand? So if anybody wants to take that up,
Uh, yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
good afternoon.
Yes, sir. What I think brand is that it is like a name. We are known by it.
Right,
It's not just a product or a thing. We are known by it. As a person, as a company, we are known by it. That's
right,
what brand is, I think.
right. So something that can be sold and has a identity, as simple as that. If I have to put it in a very simpler manner, that something which has a name to it or identity of its own, and that is what distinguishes it. Is it something as a brand, as you also pointed out? Something which has a name or identity, or a visible cue which can distinguish itself from the others is a brand. Now, as a to begin with a
Sorry to
career
interrupt you,
in.
sir. Sorry to
Sorry.
interrupt you, sir.
Yes, please.
Uh, so brand is also like what customer perceives about the product, like what we basically put in the market and what customer actually perceives about it.
Right. So when you say what consumer perceives about our product, that is something which we want them to perceive as a marketer. That's our job. So there is a brand, and then there is a brand value which you build into a brand, and that's what you want consumers to perceive it as. Things can go wrong and they can perceive it otherwise, but as a professional you would want certain values to be added to your brand, and those form a very core part of what you want to communicate to your consumers. Now, I've been in this profession for last 12 years. The day I joined my MBA college, I had a dream that I want to be within FMCG company. I want to be into marketing. I worked my way through it. I started with sales, and gradually over last 6-7 years of sales, and then moved to brand marketing. And last 5 years, I've been handling home care portfolio for Dabur. So, few things I want to share with you guys about uh, what a marketer should do, and as a person, how you can be a good marketer. So I'll not get into the details of what a branding is, or what a ROI is, or what marketing analytics is, what a digital marketing is. Those are some things which you any which ways would learn as part of your curriculum, or once you are in the industry, you do it on the job. I would wish to take you through certain skill sets which in last 5 years I believe are very necessary for a person to be a good marketer. I mean, anybody of us can be a marketer. It's not a specific science that you need to learn. We are not at the end of the day we are not making Mangalyaan, so we don't really need the technical knowledge, but we need a certain life skills, which I think if we imbibe by and we try, learn over the period of years, is something which can make us really good at marketing. So I'll just share a small presentation with you guys, and let's see if it really makes sense to you guys. So I want to check if my screen is visible now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So yes, as I told you, certain skills which I believe are core skills which a marketer should acquire over a period of time, and will definitely help you guys even if you don't end up becoming a marketer, because at the end of the day a marketer is also part of a business, and we are all answerable or responsible to a business. We are all helping company to achieve a certain top line and bottom line, and that's what the business is existing for. At the end, it's boiling down to profitability. So as a marketer, even if we are not uh, even if as a professional we are not a marketer, but at least we are contributing to business, and these certain things I believe should really help you guys as you move forward into your corporate journey. So first is understanding yourself. Most of the time there is a lot of inquisitivity to learn about other things, about everybody else in the college, in the classroom, in corporate office or in school. But how much time we spend to understand ourselves is very, very important, because you as a person would know best what are you made of. I mean, do you know what your strengths are? Do you know what your weaknesses are? And when I say, I mean, these are not just some simple HR questions which you face in your interviews. These are really deep questions about yourself. You should spend some time. I mean, I would suggest at least 15-20 minutes a day to reflect upon you as a personality. One way is to introspect what you are, try to understand what fascinates you, what excites you, what really is something which you, I mean, hate doing. What are your skill sets which currently you possess? What are the skill sets or gaps which you think you should possess? What are your areas where you need to really improve as a person? Because till you don't have a self awareness, a very high self awareness, it's difficult you get into a mode where you start understanding consumers that deeply. I mean, it's more of a science than art, I would say. So I mean, in case you think it's difficult for you, practice meditation, some 10-15 minutes of meditation where you kind of get into your inner conscious and reflect upon you as a person, that what I am. At the end of the day, we have all been taught to write a myself essay since class first. But have we ever introspected and kind of get deep into really understanding ourselves as a person? And once you do that, over a period of month or so, when you reflect over again and again, you really would find certain areas where you are really, really, really good at. For example, I'm very passionate about online discounts, for example. I mean, just to give you an example, I mean, I keep looking about deals, something that excites me. I mean, credit cards, reward points, I mean, something that really excites me. You ask me, I'm very passionate about telling everybody about it. But if you ask me whether I'm very keen or very interested in something related to history, maybe not. I mean, I'm not very, very good at it. Maybe it sounds very boring to me. But then about what about you? What are your likes or dislikes as a person? So understanding yourself really helps, because that skill set will further enhance your ability to understand the consumer tomorrow. So it's very important. Please spend some time, figure out what your goals are, where you want to be, what have your been key achievements throughout in whatever time you have made sense in this world. What are your key achievements and why those key achievements have come by? What did you do to achieve those things? Have you actually faced any failures? If yes, then why those failures have come by. Are there any learnings from those failures? So very important that we understand ourselves, and then we move to a next skill, which I believe is important, is empathy, which is understanding others. Now you have done your homework, you understand, you are much more self-aware. Now is the time we start understanding others. Empathy is nothing but keeping yourself in somebody else's shoes and trying to understand their point of view. And this skill, believe me, goes a long way in deciding whether you are a good marketer, a good professional or not. Because most of times in corporate world, it's a very collaborative culture these days. You know, we are all part of teams, and now even virtual teams. So understanding others' point of view and hence getting your work done is even more ever so important than any other era we would have lived in. So empathy towards your co-workers, empathy towards your team, empathy towards your seniors, empathy towards your colleagues is something that you need to develop. And when I say empathy, it's not just pretending to understand their point of view, it's genuinely getting into their shoes and understanding them. Some people also, you know, confuse empathy with, you know, if I am very empathetic, I may not be very assertive or I may not be very authoritative. People may not listen to me. अब मैं सब हमेशा ही अपनी टीम की सुनता रहूंगा कि सर ये है वो है ये प्रॉब्लम है वो प्रॉब्लम है तो मैं काम कब करवाऊंगा. Not really. I mean, empathy doesn't mean that you don't do your task well. Empathy doesn't really mean that you don't get the job done. Empathy just means that, you know, you understand if there is a genuine issue or a problem or a point of view which the other person has and appreciate it and see how you can take into account. And you know, this skill of empathy is also very important when we are understanding our consumer, because most of the time we don't get into their shoes to understand what really motivates our consumer. You know, if I am selling a air fresheners, for example, to a house lady, now what really does you know, motivate her to buy a air freshener? Is it that she wants her bathroom to really smell good? I mean, that's the motive. Is it that, you know, bad smell would cause a bad name to her? So is that the motive? Or having a air freshener in the bathroom itself is a marker of that she's not keeping her bathroom clean and hence she required a air freshener. Which of the three is really a issue with her? And that is something we need to absolutely pinpoint. And if we have to get correct what we want to say in our communication and how we want to pitch our product. So it's very, very important to be in that lady's shoes to understand, is she a proud homemaker? Is she using it to avoid social embarrassment, or is she really, you know, using it because she doesn't care about her home? So we have to really understand which one of the three is ticking with her. And this you will only be able to do once you have a generous approach towards understanding others. And as a precursor, knowing much about yourself before really trying to understand others.
Sir,
Yes,
sir,
please.
can observing be a part of empathy? Observing someone.
Observing is a skill set in itself, I believe. Empathy is when you are in a situation where you know, interacting with somebody and you're trying to get into somebody's shoes. Yes, I mean, as you said, you observe and learn. Definitely, you observe and learn. Uh, but being empathetic is mostly when you know, interact with somebody on a regular basis.
Okay, sir.
I mean, you can be observing, but till the time you're not manifesting the value by interacting with the other person, he or she doesn't really know that you have been empathetic with them, right? So I can observe my team. I know what the issues are with them, but I mean, without any discussion with them, it won't really matter. I can keep it to myself. It won't really help them also then.
Yes, sir.
Sure. So going ahead, I think this screen moves a little slow. So I think I'll just try it again. There was some lag which I was facing. Yeah. Okay, very interesting. I mean, I'll come to observation also because that's again very core part of how you develop certain sense of what will work in with for you in market. But before that, I before you start observing, think and learn. I mean, why think and learn? I mean, we have all now grown up in an age where we are told do and learn, but what is very important still is think and learn. So, a thin line of distinguish between think and learn and do and learn. Learn what you really want to learn. I mean, there's no need to absolutely go and learn everything in this world. So I don't really need to learn how to make trains. I don't really need to know how to fly planes. But if I really want to know how digital marketing works, I'll better spend my time learning that. So think before you learn. Time is very, very precious. You have finite hours, not infinite time in world to do everything. So please prepare a list of things you really want to learn as a professional. Start tick marking them as you keep learning and coming across places where you can learn these things. And for example, I give you my personal example. I These days we're all evolving in a era of digital marketing. It's still very evolving field. So as a professional, I do make a point, to attend a lot of webinars, a lot of seminars, like this interaction. I also keep learning from some of the pundits in the field of digital marketing. I've also done certain courses. So, but that's a area of priority I've decided for myself, in this current year. These are the five things I would really need to focus and learn. Digital marketing being one of them, strategic leadership being another, for example. I've also told myself that I'll learn at least one dish to cook. So you have to set your priorities as to what you want to learn, and you have to put your mind to it. Think what are your areas of interest, what will really help you as a professional. So if this understanding digital marketing as a profession would help me, I will definitely invest my time there. So, to all of you, this is again very important. This is actually all correlated. If you see, if you know your inner strengths, your inner weaknesses, and you know what to improve upon, this will be an easy question to answer. As a professional, that what I need to learn and by when. Put a timeline to everything. Otherwise, we all have this tendency to procrastinate. So we all, टेंड टू से कि यार कर लेंगे, जिम तो एक दिन चले ही जाएंगे, सुबह उठ के वॉक तो कर ही लेंगे. So this is something, we all keep procrastinating. So better put a timeline to what you want to do, and then start learning. This will really help. And as you go into corporate, as you feel, it's a 9 to 9 kind of a grueling schedule which doesn't leave any time for you as a professional. This time management, this priority setting will really help you manage your day well, even in a business scenario. So yes, to somebody's point who said observation, I would like to call it experience. Experience everything now. So this is something I genuinely believe in. I mean, be it through travel, be it through through food, be it through meeting new people. Experience things which really open a new horizon for you. So as Mark Twain puts it, that I've been through some terrible things in my life, some of which actually happened. So a funny way of saying that, we all go through various experiences, but can you be purposive about what experience you want to go through? Really, really, for example, just to share with you, I really love to travel. Now traveling can be there can be various kind of uh, uh, interest people have in traveling. I particularly, for one, like to meet local people wherever I go. Try to get familiarized with them, their culture, their food, what really excites them. So as a professional, this is again very important. If you experience different geographies, different people, different tastes, so you also start appreciating, after some point of time, appreciating those cultures, those geographies, those people, those values. And tomorrow, as a marketer, when you are catering to a diverse set of consumers, from south to north to west to east of the country, then to which part of consumer, what should be your way of saying things. I'll just give you example from brand O'Donnell. Now, in South, there is a tradition of lighting agarbatti in the morning and taking it throughout the house to purify your house. And in North, there is also a tradition of dhoop. So we all do this dhoop and we kind of spread the smoke around the house to, I mean, it signifies purification. Now, when as an air freshener brand, you talk about purification to a consumer who is using a dhoop or agarbatti to purify her house, uh, I mean, what do you say to her? Obviously, there is a spiritual value which is associated with agarbatti or a dhoop, so you are not there in that zone. But you are also not in a zone where you want to sound a very chemical sort of a product. So, so then what do you add? You add a lot of floral cues because a agarbatti or a dhoop also gives you a fragrance of certain floral notes. So flowers to us then becomes a manifestation of that fragrance. The way we show in our communication the fragrance is spreading is through a burst of flowers that get into a room. I could have shown a smoke or a fragrance wave going around, but it would not have resonated with the consumer because that smoke or that wave has a very strong resonation of their morning ritual, which is very spiritual also in nature. So I wanted to use a device which still gives a fragrance, but is not conflicting with their daily values. And that is something which you experience once you travel, once you see, once you interact. So never miss an opportunity to be with diverse set of people, diverse point of views. Listen to people that are actually opposing your views. I always believe you should always be amongst the people where you feel you are the least contributing one, where you believe they are all much superior to you, because those are the gap areas which you would always try to cover up. And once you are with people who are more learned, more maybe active or more experienced than you, then it's those values will certainly start imbibing in you also, and you as a professional also start growing. So something very important: do experience everything possible in life because they all somewhere add up to you as a person. I don't know, this keeps hanging. Yes, so related to experience is also to be curious. I mean, as you experience a lot of things, you will only be able to experience if you are curious about them. So have that curiosity quotient very high. Keep asking a lot of why questions in life because those are some of the answers which will really help improve your understanding. Whys of things is certainly something which really helps. Why this happens, why that happens, why is something you need to harp on everything possible. I mean, if a company is giving 1+1, say on as a promotion, please ask yourself, consumer, why? Why would there be a need to offer that 1+1? I mean, they could have sold it without 1+1. Was it really a situation of distress? They were not able to sell their products and hence they gave 1+1. Was it really because they wanted me to try this product with this offer? Was it really to, they're still making money? This is just way of selling the product. We have all seen brands like Cantabil or Coutons had in some days, they used to offer 2+6 free. Now, I mean, to a layman, this may sound, the company is going bust, they're going bankrupt, but they are making handsome money even in that promotion. So, but generally, I mean, I'm saying if even if you are at home, you're watching a movie or a TV series or something, if there is an advertisement that comes up on the screen, ask them why they've chosen. Ask yourself why would the company would have chosen a storyline which they are narrating in that TV commercial. Have you ever gone and think like ये ad तो आ गई पर कहना क्या चाहते थे, मतलब what was really the motive there, what they wanted to communicate. I mean, as an exercise, if you are really interested in marketing, do this exercise for 10-15 minutes a day. I mean, only switch on the TV during commercial breaks and do all the advertisements that come in that commercial break. Start writing, the whys of it. Why do you think the brand has communicated what it has communicated? And, over a period of time, you will start connecting the dots, that these are the subtle messages which the brand is trying to provide as a consumer. Why would a Akshay Kumar in a Harpic bathroom cleaner commercial wear red pants? Any idea why he's wearing red pants? I mean, he's a actor of a stature. Why would he wear a pant color red? I mean, that doesn't really go much with his sort of personality. Anybody who can just, give his point of view or her point of view.
To drive attention.
Okay. Anybody else?
So because it
Alice,
resembles the color of a product.
Okay. Right. So, yes, that those are subtle cues. So the bottle is red color, but the advertiser as a brand, we want to plant that in your subconscious that, every time you go to a store and you see a red bottle, you immediately recall that it's a Harpic bathroom cleaner. Those are small, subtle cues, subconscious cues that we want to plant in your mind, uh, to, make you aware and to build a consideration that each time you go to shop, each time you see something red, the first thing that strikes you, okay, this is not Coca-Cola, this is Harpic bathroom cleaner. So that's where, being curious would help you to get answers to some of these questions. This was a simple one, but please try understand what the concept behind the advertisement is. What the motive behind uh, advertisement is. What was the insight behind it? Why brand has said something like that? So break that ad into, I would say, three main steps. So if you really want to note it down, that's how marketing begins in any company. It's the insight which we first target. We sharpen that insight day in, day out till we are very sure this is something that we want to say. I'll just give you an example. For example, in Corona, a lot of products said, kills germs, kills viruses, kills COVID virus. But, just saying that may not make consumer really believe you. So use a life insight. As a brand, we use the insight that, each time you come home from outside, chances are that you are carrying germs. And that I'm talking about, time when we were all in lockdown. We were very scared to go out. We had to go out because we had to buy our groceries, etc., or essentials. And each time one would come back, there was a kind of regime we would follow. So we would sanitize our hands. We may, go immediately for a bath, remove our clothes and wash it immediately. So there was so much care which a consumer had. And if you are really tackling, harping on that insight, then कि जब भी आप घर में आते हो बाहर से, आप अपने साथ जर्म्स ला सकते हो. इसलिए आपको चाहिए XYZ सैनिटाइजर जो आपके घर को साफ सुथरा और सैनिटाइज रखे और आपको सुरक्षित रखे. Now as a consumer, I know, yeah, this is something which I am doing, as a part of my daily routine, and I'm scared of. And here is a brand which is coming forward and saying that it can provide me with the solution. So this insight will, immediately resonate with the consumer. So first is the insight. Second is the product benefit or preposition. आप घर से बाहर से अंदर आए, आप जर्म्स ला सकते थे, आपको खतरा है, आपको चाहिए XYZ सैनिटाइजर. Now XYZ sanitizer will now start claiming its benefit. आपको चाहिए XYZ sanitizer because ये आपको देता है 99.9% जर्म से सुरक्षा. ये आपको देता है सॉफ्ट स्किन ताकि जब भी आप हाथों पे लगाएं आपके हाथ ड्राई ना हो और एक अच्छी खुशबू भी. So this is a benefit part of the story. Now you would say यार insight तो ठीक है पर ये सारे benefit तो सब देते हैं यार, XYZ भी देता है, ABC भी देता है, BCD भी देता है, why should I believe XYZ? It's when you also give your consumer a reason to believe. And then you say इसमें है 70% एथेनाइल अल्कोहल, जो बाकी सब सैनिटाइजर से ज्यादा है। इसमें है एलोवेरा, जो आपके हाथों को सॉफ्ट रखता है। या इसमें है एसेंशियल ऑयल्स, जो आपको देते हैं बहुत अच्छी खुशबू। तो आपने बेनिफिट्स बताए, आपने उसको रीजन टू बिलीव दिया, या आप बोल सकते हैं कि ये WHO से प्रमाणित है, this has been certified by WHO to give you the best protection. So you have given him the reason to believe as a consumer that well, I understand what life situation you are in. As a brand, I give you that solution, but here are the reasons that you believe me as a consumer. And at the end of the day, you just sign off by saying XYZ hand sanitizer, आपके घर का complete sanitizer. So that's a sign off or a payoff line eventually that sums up the whole thing. So next time when you are watching any TV commercial, try to break this TV commercial into these 4 parts, or maybe there can be 5 parts to it. So there can be a headline also, which in most cases is theoretical. In most of the TVCs you won't find it. So 3 parts: insight, benefit, reason to believe, and then if there is any payoff line. So once you start breaking the TV commercials into these 4 parts over a period of time, make a separate notebook for this. You will see in say month or two, when you see hundreds of different kind of advertisements, you yourself will be able to then write these 4 parts for any product, because you would have seen through so many stories, and then you would really understand that behind each insight there is a homework that has gone to understand. So as a marketer, what do we do? I can sit in my home with a nice AC in summers or a heater in winter and think, हाँ यार ऐसा करती होगी एक consumer, ऐसा सोचती होगी एक consumer, है ना? But does that really work that way? No. So I also go in the market, I meet consumers, I spend time with them. Obviously we all are also consumers, so we also reflect upon what our attitudes and beliefs are, but our attitudes and beliefs are only too limited to us, so we need a slightly more wider understanding. One is, first, at a first level, we try and meet people. So if I have to launch something for Tamil Nadu, I would definitely love to meet those Tamil women and understand what really motivates them as a consumer. For example, when we were launching a floor cleaner for Tamil Nadu, and we came up with this insight, that children in Tamil Nadu are very nasty. They keep rolling on floor to get their get their things done. So they pester their parents. They start rolling on the floor and they say कि जब तक ये काम नहीं होगा, if I need a chocolate, you please get me a chocolate, otherwise I'll keep rolling on the floor and start crying. And generally what would parents do? They would say, ठीक है, अब इतना ज़्यादा मत चिल्लाओ, इतना मत रो, we'll get you the chocolate, and things stops. Now this was the insight. We said, it's very interesting because we are selling a floor cleaner. As a mother in Corona times, when she's taking so much care of cleaning and sanitizing each part of her house, a child rolling on the floor is the last thing she wants. So we said, Orondo Porondo Rondo, that's something called roll and roll in Tamil. So we said, that's a very famous jingle there, Orondo Porondo. And we said, we'll say that, keep your child rolling on the floor. Nothing will get stick to him or her because you have used the best floor cleaner. It any which ways kills all the virus and germs. So not a problem. And eventually the child will know that the mother is not listening to her and giving in to her demand, and she'll get up and she'll be fine. So a very interesting insight immediately resonated with the mothers. Consumers, we did our research and it came out fantastically well because, mothers could relate to something which has happened daily in their lifetime and something which would resonate with them. So yes, again, coming to point that, you make this notebook of yours, Please break the TV commercials into these 3 or 4 parts, and then over a period of time try to see, pick up a product and try to from zero start and making a tvc yourself, or a concept yourself. As a next step, you can actually, among your I mean colleagues, or your fellows or your friends, you can actually test that concept. As a imagine yourself that you are launching a fmcg company or any other company, I mean any other product service which gives you a kick. Write a concept about it. Don't write a print ad. There's a difference. I mean, I'm just saying, write what the insight is, what the benefit is, what the reason to believe is, in a descriptive manner, not as a print ad as we see in on a newspaper, because that is a refined version of the concept. Write a concept, share it with your colleagues, with your friends, test it, share it with the relevant TG. So if you're launching something for teenagers, test it among teenagers and see how many of them are giving you a positive score for that particular concept. And 3 4 concepts down the line, and you will start refining those, and you will start hitting the bullseye that okay, this is something which is really resonating with my consumer, and this is something which would really make them buy this product, for example. Right? So moving ahead, a very very important point in today's scenario. I mean, nobody likes a person who just sits quietly, doesn't contribute. Please have a point of view on anything and everything. Have a point of view, and not just having a point of view. Please communicate that. I mean, it's very important. Most of us, have a very strong understanding of certain subjects, but when it comes to actually contributing or communicating, we shy away. We say it's okay यार, जाने दो, मैं नहीं बोलता हूँ, छोड़ो. क्लास में कुछ डिस्कशन है, टीचर इज आस्किंग समथिंग, प्रोफेसर आर आस्किंग समथिंग, somebody of us will not contribute because we'll say यार छोड़ो यार, or will not have any point of view that चल रहा है चलने दो यार, मुझे क्या लेना है. No, this doesn't really work. Please have a strong point of view. These days we are very vocal on social media. We are all seeing how things shape up, how the elections are being run. I mean, each of us need to have a point of view. It may be right, it may be wrong. We may have to come to compromise. We may have to come to a conclusion where my point of view was not the best one. That's perfectly fine. But having a point of view is something which helps you to initiate or be a part of the conversation, and something which, where you get a medium to contribute as a professional. Otherwise, you just won't get noticed. You'll pass by very silently. So please have a point of view. Very interesting. As a marketer, this is something which I like the most. Sell. I mean, we have been all selling ourselves, right? When we get into the MBA colleges, in the interview, we have sold ourselves why we want admission in that particular college. We continue to sell, and this is something as a skill we should learn. I mean, some of you have also sent your questions and queries as to, if we get certain opportunities as an intern or as a project, should we do it? Yes, please do it. And if you get sales projects, I would beg you all to do it. Sales or selling something actually is the first step where you, as a professional or as a person, let go of your ego. Imagine I graduated from Nashi Monji in 2008, first day into job, and I mean, after a brief introduction, my boss tells me, please go with a salesman who is driving a auto, a Tata Ace, not even a Tata Ace, a Mahindra Champion kind of a auto. Sit with him in the front along with the driver, and do a market. And each time you go to a shop, say Namaskar Seth ji. And this was my first brief. I went to the field. I was in Maharashtra, Aurangabad. You get onto the shop, you say Namaskar Seth ji. First of all, he doesn't listen. He doesn't care who the hell are you. You are just wasting his time. Second instance, you find out he's actually not Seth ji. He's the worker on the shop. I mean, he's not even the Seth ji. And I mean, you have to say, भैया please ये संतूर साबुन ले लो मेरे से, because आज इसमें बहुत अच्छा स्कीम है, इसका खुशबू बहुत अच्छा है. So you're trying to do a sales call, the other person is not interested, and a sense of frustration creeps in, saying यार मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ यार, मतलब I mean 40 डिग्री का टेम्परेचर है, पसीने छूट रहे हैं, मैं दुकान में गर्मी में खड़ा हूँ, ये तो टेबल फैन लगा के मस्त एकदम हवा आ रही है, वो बैठा है, एंड ही इज नॉट इवन बॉदर्ड, एटलीस्ट पानी पूछ ले मुझे, मैं आया हूँ इतनी गर्मी में, नॉट एट ऑल. सो ही इज नॉट इंटरेस्टेड. बट व्हाट यू लर्न is that whatever the situation is, you need to sell. That's your job. That imbibes a lot of patience in you. That imbibes a lot of respect for others in you. That imbibes letting go of ego in you. So selling is a very, very important skill. If you don't know how to sell, it will be difficult to make a brand out of anything which you are selling, because what you are selling is something which you need to know really well. How it is being sold is something which you really need to know before you start communicating about it, and make a TVC or advertisement or a communication about it. So imbibe this skill well. Do a lot of internships. These are easier to come by. A lot of companies would offer you sales internships because they are getting more feet on street for free. Don't think it that way. I mean, you may be getting used as a, I mean, if I can use that word, some companies are very opportunistic, so they only hire interns. They use them, but then as an intern, what you are learning is a very important skill in life. So before getting to my MBA, I've actually sold home loans. I've actually sold sweatshirts in my campus. I've actually sold kite during Basant festival. So I've done it all. So yes, a very important skill. Please do sell whatever you can sell. I mean, be it a home loan or an insurance or a mutual fund or a soap. I mean, wherever you can get an opportunity to be a sales trainee, 2 months, 3 months, please explore that opportunity and try and do that.
Sir,
Right? So yeah, please.
were you able to sell Santur that day?
Yes, we did. I mean, thankfully, Santur has a very good market share in Aurangabad. So retailers would also need it because there is a consumer demand to it. Was I the best salesman that day? I don't know. Maybe not. Because a more experienced salesman would have sold much more quantity. And that's where his reputation or his experience in that market would have worked. To me, I was a novice. I did sell, but yes, it was a hard day for me, I can say.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Right. So moving ahead. So yes, there is no linear path. I'm connecting it with some of the questions that you have sent me, that how to progress in career and how to get into marketing. There is no one way to get into marketing. Some people go through the way I have gone, which is first do sales and then eventually get into marketing. Some people directly get into a marketing function post their graduation or post graduation. Another route is to start early and start small. That's another way of growing in a marketing function. So for example, you can start as a brand executive with some of the companies, some of the startups or some of the companies where which sector you want to be in, given a choice. So you can target those companies and start as brand executives. Now, brand executives are typically not doing any major marketing work, but they're actually working with a marketing team to help them with their operational issues. Right. So as a marketer, it's not just making TVCs that we do. We are handling a complete business. So we there are a lot of nuts and bolts of business that as a professional on day-to-day basis you need to handle. As simple as okay, if I'm packing my product in a cardboard box, what will be the GSM of that box? What is the pricing of that box? What can be the best optimized measurement of that box, which can save me freight? Is also part of marketing. It's nobody else is doing that job for you. So as As a brand executive, you are at least in that environment. You are part of those conversations, and you start evolving as a professional, and then you slowly work your way through as a marketer or a brand manager or a marketing manager or a marketing head tomorrow. So there's no linear path. There's no definite answer whether you need to come from a particular background to be a good marketer. I mean, all I can say is a more diverse background really helps. So somebody who has more diverse experiences, who is more read. If your guys are reading more books, having different point of view, different genres, different uh, uh, types or ethnicities you have experienced, so uh, you'll be a better marketer. So there's no linear path. You all can be good marketers. It's just that I mean, getting into the right opportunities as and when they are provided. Right. So this is something which I called as blank sheet as experiment, and this really helps as a good marketer because at the end of the day, you're solving some consumer problems. But what are those problems is also something which you need to figure out. So what do we do? I mean, this is something we do annually. This is not something we do regularly because this takes a lot of time and effort. What we call it as blank sheet experiment. So we take a blank sheet or a blank slide or a whiteboard, and we sit around, we brainstorm, and we figure out what are really the issues as a business that we are facing. So we try and list down all possible big, small issues that the business is facing. It can be as simple as, my profitability is low, to a issue larger that my brand is not liked by the consumer. Which is something as vague that, the consumer doesn't like my brand. Now, how do I know why doesn't she like my brand? What all I can do as a marketer to improve upon? So first is to list down the issues which are there, or the problem areas which are there. And then we come to the solution part of the problem, that each problem we try what can be all possible solutions to that problem. One problem can definitely have 4 or 5 solutions, and then you zero down upon what is the best solution that you can provide, and then that really becomes your brand plan for the next year. That's how you do a brand planning exercise. It's nothing fancy. इट्स नथिंग सेइंग कि अगले साल में 3 ऐड बनाऊंगा, एक ब्रांड एम्बेसडर ले लूंगा ब्रांड पे, 500 होर्डिंग लगा दूंगा, सोशल मीडिया पे इंस्टाग्राम पे 50 इन्फ्लुएंसर्स ले लूंगा. नथिंग लाइक दैट. First, you should know as a marketer is what your problems are, and this experiment can be done for any situation. Okay, so this is not just marketing. This can be for any situation, even for your personal situations. So if as a professional you are thinking what will be, how my career will progress, please do a blank sheet experiment as to what are the challenges and how possibly you can mitigate and move ahead. And that really gives you a plan to move ahead. Right. So with that, moving ahead, we have all been communicating now for almost little more than 40-50 minutes now. So yes, please communicate. As I said, having a point of view makes sense only once you communicate. Listen more. It's very important we keep listening. Most of the time we love to speak our point of view, but it's very important to listen to what others have to say. Don't be a Arnab Goswami that just not listening to others, just keep communicating one way. So please listen more. Start writing things. I mean, this definitely helps, because something you write, maybe I'm not saying write literally. You can use laptops or tablets to write, but scribble something, scribble your thoughts, whatever comes to your mind, start jotting it down. This really helps. Even the advertisement exercise that I've talked about, again, writing something, because once you write, you kind of have a chance to introspect it over, and that's what is required to improve as you go ahead. And then last is you speak. Obviously, you need to speak up and be noticed. So yes, I want to conclude with a again one of my favorite quotes from Mark Twain, that we are always more anxious to be distinguished for a talent which we do not possess than to be praised for the 15 which we do possess. So all of us may not end up being marketers. That's perfectly okay. But can we be, good business leaders if we want to be in business? Can we be good artists if we want to be good artists? Whatever we want to be, can we be really good at it? And this again will come from a lot of self-awareness or self-conscious or inner conscious if we have, that as a person, where are we? So that's from me. On certain skills I believe, and I try to practice day in day out to help improve myself as a marketer. I'm willing to take questions now, so please.
Hi, sir. Hello, sir. Amit this side.
Yes, please.
Sir, I mean, if you, sir, I have multiple questions. I would ask first one. So if you can go back to the time to the Nursi Monji first year at the MBA school. So is there any one thing which you would like, well, you would like to tell your younger self that, Sumit, this is what thing you have to know.
Right. So, in first year in an MBA and all, that excitement of being there, first of all, you tend to lose purpose of why you were here. And if you, especially if you have to make a career in marketing, my suggestion again would there be, start participating in activities which gives you exposure into this part of business. For example, most of the colleges will have a marketing cell or a sponsorship cell or advertising cell. So start by joining those committees, those cells. Be part of that. Early exposure to leadership does help. So be a general secretary, be a joint secretary, be a hold a position of responsibility, contribute. It's not just about holding those titles, it is about contributing. So organize a festival, organize a contest, whatever you are into. So because then you as a person you are getting developing yourself into those skills. So if you are part of a marketing cell or a sponsorship cell and you have to go to corporates and raise say money for your festivals, it's you who is actually expanding himself or herself industry contacts. It's you who is actually writing that pitch, that making that proposal. Very important. And then again, obviously, interacting with those professionals. So it's very important that as a part of any MBA program you are, please find ways and means where you can contribute as a person and enhance your exposure as much as possible.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So my second question is regarding the current scenario, current brand war versus Sebamed and HUL.
Right.
So how do you look at that, like as a brand manager? I mean, can you give your opinion from the perspective of the brand manager of the Sebamed and from the HUL? How do you like manage at the both time?
Right. So, a very interesting case which is going on. Sebamed has actually been able to do its job, I would say. So, Sebamed wanted to create awareness about a brand called Sebamed. They wanted to create awareness that they are the best pH balance soap available in the market, and they have done it very effectively. For records, they have lost the case to HUL partially. I mean, the court has ruled that they can't use a detergent or another soap brand to compare. But to me, Sebamed achieved its objective of raising awareness among its target audience that they are the best moisturizing soap available in the market. Now, ask me whether they are actually resonating with the right audience. I doubt, because Sebamed, if you see, is priced at some 200 rupees for a 50-gram bar, whereas Lux is priced at 20 rupees for 100 gram. So there is almost like 10 times price disparity between the two products, and hence the consumers for both these products would also be very, very different. So while on a one hand they have been able to achieve their objective of awareness, but whether it is with the right set of audience is only time will tell, whether people migrate from a 20 rupee soap to a 200 rupee soap.
So what would you do as a HUL brand manager of the Dove or Lux? Would you
Right.
do
So
anything or
HUL
just
has
wait and watch?
no. I mean, if you do that strategy of just wait and watch, you end up becoming a Maggie. So Maggie is a classic case study where they didn't do anything, and we all know what happened post that. So they faced huge losses. Many of the consumers moved out of the brand who were regular or frequent consumers of Maggie, at least reduced their consumption. I know in my office or in my family, if we were eating, say, Maggie once a week, we have kind of, I mean, lowered our consumption to once a month because we all know now there are certain elements which are not healthy for us. So, as a HUL manager, they also bounced back very strongly. And the good thing about the way they bounced back was not using the same brands against which Sebamed had a campaign. So they said, we will tackle it with one of the ace in our pack, which is Dove. So they did an advertisement next day with the brand called Dove, and they said we have. I mean, most of the dermatologists have put lot of it in our soap, which is called Trust. So they bounced back very strongly with a brand in their armor, which was, I mean, which was a very, very, very strong brand, a Dove, which has been built over the years on a preposition of 1/4 moisturizing cream. So consumers really know that it's a best moisturizing soap available. So they used Dove to counter Sebamed. They never used Lux or for that matter any other brand to counter Sebamed. Parallelly, as a smart marketers, they went to court very quickly. So that was very proactive of them to immediately get a stay on Sebamed ad and then a ruling in their favor that tomorrow Sebamed will not be able to showcase Rin or Lux in their advertisement. So that way, as a marketer, as I told you, we're not just business. I mean, we're not just marketers. We're also a business manager. Going to court, fighting a case against competitor is something again as a part of your job only.
So, but about Maggie, people do say that they did good work by not doing anything. They just sit back for a certain period of time. They came back with the scientific proof, and that there is no lead. Again, they are stronger.
No, but they did lose. Okay, so at least the numbers don't say that way, right? So did lose the business. One, the business is still not back on track. Now the market share for Maggie before this fiasco was 70%. They are at not more than 50% now. So it gave a window to Yippee from Sunfeast to make a mark in the market. Yippee now, thanks to that fiasco, has a strong, higher 20 kind of a market share, which was not there earlier. So it gave a window for a competitor to sneak in, and once they had a foot in the door, they were able to consolidate it. Today, EP is again, is a strong competitor to Maggie. And as I told you, it's very difficult to bring the consumption back. Once the uh, consumer moves away for a certain period of time, the habits might change. So if I moved away from Maggie for a certain period of time, I would have started snacking on something else, and I might have stuck to it. For example, some consumers would have moved to oats, for example, or some other segments. So I'm just saying that it really didn't help them. Uh, Rather, if they had been very proactive from day one, because I mean, they don't have to come up with anything scientific because I mean, it's not a new product that was into a situation. So the product has been with them for over years. The R&D is well with them. They could have come out very next day and release a statement that, there's nothing wrong with what you are eating. These are the proofs. This is something which we have. Uh, there's nothing wrong. They could have strongly countered it, and that would have kind of given a reassurance to consumer that okay, there is a company which is willing to go all hog and say that we have everything best in class. There's nothing wrong with what you are eating. So please go ahead and enjoy your Maggie, rather than keeping consumers in doubt for a longer period of time and making the consumption go away. So yes, different points of view, but at least the business case supports that they should have acted more proactively.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. So any more questions?
So, if we are going for a startup, Besides the target audience, should we focus on social media or for the product?
Sorry, I didn't get it. So if we are a startup,
Should we focus more on social media or the product?
I mean, product is a, I mean, any company you are, startup or a established company, first of all is the product. The core of what you are selling is the product, right? Till you don't have a handle on the product, no point going into the market advertising it. A bad product with good advertising won't sell. A good product with bad advertising again won't sell. But a product needs to be, be the centerpiece of what you are doing. I kind of take your question a slightly different manner because you are you asking me that whether we should promote the product or we should promote the brand? Is that what you are trying to ask me? If
No, sir. I'm just asking the difference. Like, should we promote, we do the work on product or first or the social media? That's it.
okay, no, obviously the product. I mean, till you don't have the product, what's the fun of just creating a buzz about a brand name which is not offering anything? I mean, there needs to be a substance behind that name or identity which you are promoting. So yes, the product needs to be worked upon.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. Mayuri this side.
Right.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for sparing your precious time with us, for taking a live session with us, and also to expert for giving us this opportunity. So, being an MBA aspirant, I want to ask that all we need from a college is one good placement, right? So, does having a fancy brand name like IIM tag, does it really matters?
Okay, depends again, Mayuri. Thanks for asking that question. In a scenario we are in, colleges do matter. I would not shy away from the fact that a good college does matter, but doesn't really mean that if you're from a slightly smaller college, maybe not as known as IIM, that you can't get good opportunities. So, I'm not from IIM, but yes, you can say I'm from a decently well-known college, but that doesn't really matter because at the end, once you enter into corporate world, it's your performance, it's you as a person that matters. Yes, college does open a gate of good companies because most of the companies would prefer to hire from certain non-colleges, but there are many companies who would hire from slightly lesser known colleges also. So important is to get into the right field of work where you want to be. I mean, a good college or a bad college can distinguish between the kind of companies you get into, but they cannot distinguish in the field you want to get into. So if you want to be in sales, I mean, you can get into from a smaller college also, or if you want to be in marketing, you can get it from a smaller college also. Doesn't really matter. The company to start maybe not the biggest or the best of the company because they may not come to your college for placement, but that doesn't really matter. I mean, if I'm instead of Dabur, if tomorrow I'm in a slightly smaller organization, uh, but if I'm loving my job, if I am able to contribute, and if the business is able to, understand the value I bring into the company, then it's a win-win for both. So, I mean, wherever you are, you should be contributing your 100%, and that's what really matters.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
So, any more questions, people? Because then sir will basically wave us goodbye. So, because like it's an hour that he promised us, and it's like over an hour now. So, anyone else? Any questions? Quickly, you want to shoot?
Ma'am, there's one more question I'd like to ask.
Okay, please go ahead.
So I also wanted to ask whether is it necessary to get an MBA for being a marketer? Like, would you prefer a passionate, eager, quick learner without an MBA for hiring for your company, or is it a necessity to get an MBA for getting into marketer role?
No, so it's not necessary. Let me say it like that. It's not necessary, but it's good to have. It's good to have because you're competing with people when you are competing for a job, and then it's good to have. But as a company now, for example, we have started onboarding a lot of graduate trainees also. So we also believe that certain people can be taught the job. Taught on the job. They are graduates. They are good enough. They are sensible. They have a responsible shed on. Head on the shoulders, and they can be onboarded and trained successfully on the job, and then they learn on the job and stay with us for a longer period of time. So having a MBA is good to have skill, but not must to have. Just that it in an Indian scenario, it opens a little bit more opportunities than a graduate, than just being a graduate. However, all these new age companies are more than willing to give you space as a graduate to come work with them and showcase your talent. And in case you are really adding value, they are quick to promote you also. So a lot of these startups is something you should target in case you wish to be a very quick learner and rise quickly, and start early in some of the lesser known startups, because those are the people who would find it really difficult to get good talent in the market, and they would be willing to experiment with more fresher or with new talent. And if you are able to make the mark, then you also learn as a profession, because you are part of something which is being created, and they also obviously feel your value, and will obviously take you along as they grow.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Mayur.
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir. Sarthak this side.
Hi,
I
Sarthak.
want to ask one question. Before joining MBA, I had good amount of experience in IT, and after MBA, I want to go for FMCG sector or marketing kind of role. So, how difficult it will be for me, and what should I How should be the preparation for that to get into FMCG, something like that?
Right. So, first of all, Sarthak, it won't be difficult. Whatever experience you have only adds to you as a person. It doesn't take away anything. I mean, maybe not directly, but IT is also an important skill these days, because we are all dealing with certain softwares, etc. When it comes to analyzing certain data points, so your skills will come handy somewhere. But what will matter more is that since you worked in any kind of organization, you obviously know how a organization works, how teams work, how subordinate and a superior relationship works. So that way, you already know a lot of things on how the work is done in a corporate. Something that will add to you as a professional. So when a company is hiring, they know at least, we don't have to teach him a basic corporate mannerism, if I have to put it that way. So you already have been through it. As far as your aim of making into one of the FMCG companies, start following them. I believe start learning from what they're doing. Is the first thing, is to imbibe those values as, or those personality types which a FMCG would require. So FMCG would definitely require somebody who is grounded, somebody who's quick on feet, a very nimble thinker, and somebody who can quickly uh, give solutions to problems. So get into that mindset. Start approaching companies where they can give you some early exposure, small projects, maybe into sales, marketing, whatever field you can, possibly get associated with them. And that's how you start building yourself towards a career in an FMCG environment.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I think there are certain questions in chat.
Yes.
Do big firms value startup experience regardless of whether the startup is successful or not? Oh, they do value, yes. I mean, big or small, any experience is valued till the time it is relevant. So yes, if for example, if you are aspiring to be in a marketing position, and if your prior experience has been in marketing, yes, it will be valued. It will be definitely valued. Even if it's into sales, etc., it will be valued. I mean, a cross-functional experience may only be valued from a point of view that, as I said, you've been part of certain corporate, and that's how it adds to you. But a relevant experience, be it in startups or in a slightly evolved firms, wherever it is, it does really matter. So I do see a lot of people who are uh, associated with for example, this forum expert, and I see a lot of people who are working as interns for this forum. So yes, they are also learning certain things, right? They are also learning how to go about building a community. Again, very important skill. So anything in any matter, if you are associated with corporates, it will really help. So Nishant wants to say, any advice for new startups for branding and marketing? There can be many advice, but one simple one is to know the space where you are as a startup before spreading yourself too thin. So know what you are, know what you stand for. Spend some time that what are the values you bring about, what is your personality type before you actually go ahead and start telling them about to your consumers or potential consumers, or to your potential business prospects. So first is to understand yourself and form a very, very strong identity about yourself before venturing out. Right. So I think there's one more. According to current scenario, like in pandemic, as our practical exposure is very less, how can we overcome that to become successful in marketing domain? Why would you say that your practical experience is less? I mean, it should be more. I mean, because virtual learning or virtual way of doing things has opened up what you could not have done physically. So I would suggest that you be part of lot many initiatives which are now virtual to increase your exposure. One a forum like this is one, and you can obviously be part of many such forums, and there are lots of events and things happening online now that you really don't need to move out of the house to experience certain things. So I would suggest that spend your time well, do some small research, and you can really be part of a lot of things which are happening around. So for marketing, are certifications useful, or does on-hand project experience matter to a company? I believe it's the on-hand projects which do matter. Certification of a basic level, or say if you are already a MBA in marketing, uh, does a lot of the job. Yes, certain early skills. For example, if you are certified in say Google digital marketing, or you know the Facebook marketing, or Google Analytics well, those are the technical certifications which do help. I mean, they would definitely help. Beyond that, yes, it's the on-hand projects that you have done and the learnings, if you can justify what your contributions to those projects were and what did you learn as a professional. So if these two questions you can answer out of any projects, they really help and contribute. So great, then I think we've tackled some of the questions. I'll be happy in case you have more questions, you can route it through them through the expert team. I'll be more than willing to come back and answer. And a pleasure speaking to all of you. I hope it was useful. It was not something which just went by. You would not have wasted an hour, I believe. And I sincerely believe that some of you will end up doing certain exercise or certain things which I mentioned that will really, really help you. I mean, you can thank me later, but I mean, those will be really helpful.